Okay, students, so the objective for this video is we're going to be able to write the equation of a line, and we're going to be able to do that for the following situations. So, first one is if you're given a graph. The second one is if you're given the slope and the y-intercept. The third one is if you're given the slope and a point that it passes through. And the last one is if you're given 2 points on the graph. And if you note here, there's this little notepad. That means that you're required to take notes and put them in your portfolio. Alright, the first objective is to come up with the equation of the line. So we want to know the equation and y is equal to mx plus b format for this line from this graph. So let's go ahead and do the problems, and then we will write the steps out. And so I'll put this over here so we can put steps down here, and we'll summarize those at the end. So if we're doing the problem, I'm going to see that my equations have a y and an x. They have a y and an x. No matter what, I have a y and x in every single one of my equations. And the equation has to have an equal sign too. So that means that I have my y and my x. My unknowns, though, are this m and this b. So I need to find out what this m and this b are going to be. And we're going to have a plus sign here too. Even if it's a negative number, we're going to have plus and negative. So we'll just put that plus there for right now. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, well, if I look at my y-intercept, that's very easy to see on a graph. My y-intercept is where it touches the y-axis. So let's draw this in yellow. Where does this touch the y-axis? Well, it touches right there. That's where it intercepts the y-axis. So therefore, my y-intercept, and we'll do this in blue, is positive 2. My y-intercept is a positive 2. Okay, so I have my y-intercept. So now all I need to know is what goes here, and that is my slope. So I need to find the slope of this line. If you remember back, slope is equal to rise over run. Or another way to look at that is your difference in x's. So we can say, I didn't mean to put x. Rise would be difference in your y's over your run. That's your x's. So I can just pick 2 points here, and let's pick the y-intercept. So that's at point, well, it's 0, 2. And let's pick another even point where it crosses evenly. So let's pick this point right here because it looks like it crosses and hits right there on the integer. So this point, well, we come over 5 and then we rise a negative 1. Okay, now I just have to find out what this slope is. So I'm going to go my rise over run. Note that this line is sloping down, so I know my final answer is going to be negative. So if I plug these values in for this, let's do this down here, we can say that my y2, let's call this y2, so negative 1, negative 1 minus 2, that's my y1. Here, let me write that. So we're saying that this is my point 2, this is my point 1. So this is x1 and this is x2. Alright, so my slope has a rise of -1 minus 2. And x2 minus x1, so it's x2 is 5, x1 is 0. Let's simplify that, so I get -1 minus 2 is -3 over 5, and that is my slope right there. Let's take off this red equal sign, and that's my slope. So this is my equation. My equation is y is equal to -3/5 x plus 2. And I got that all from looking at the graph. Okay, so to summarize that, my steps. Step number 1 was find y-intercept. Step 2 was to find the slope. And the third one is just put it all together in slope intercept form. Okay, so the second objective, and you're going to find this one really easy, is writing the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given the slope and given the y-intercept. So all you need to do there is write y is equal to mx plus b, and since this is your b and this is your, sorry about that, and this is your m, we can put everything together, and I have y is equal to 1/2 x plus 1. Alright, let's go on to one that's a little bit more difficult. If we have through a point and a slope, we need to use a different method, and this is the point slope formula. Not too hard to remember. The formula goes y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1. So when I substitute in, here's my point. So this is my x1, this is my y1, and this is my slope, my m. So I just need to plug and chug in here, and I'm going to do y minus 0 is equal to -1 x minus x1, and my x1 is -2, and I put that in parentheses so we don't mess up the sign here. Y minus 0, that just becomes y. Let's distribute this -1 to everything in here, and again, where most people make mistakes is with negative signs. So -1 times x, that just becomes a -x. -1, well, this is a +2 times a -1. Puts me back to a -2. And my objective is met. This final equation is in slope-intercept form. So I have it in slope-intercept form. If I would have had a value right here like 3, I would have had to put that on this side to keep it in slope-intercept form. Okay, last problem, or last objective, is when we have 2 points. Well, we have 2 points, and again, our objective is we want to put it in y is equal to mx plus b form. So now we look, and we're like, oh, well, I want to have it in y is equal to mx plus b form. So I know that my final formula is going to have a y, and an equal sign, and a plus. So it's going to have all this stuff. But what I don't know is I don't know my m and I don't know my b. So you're going to have to do a combination of a couple things. First step is find your m, and I'll write that down here. So step 1, find your slope. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Well, we know that slope is my difference in my y's, or my difference of my x's. So let's call that x1, y1. x2, y2, and let's find my slope. My slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If I plug this in, that's negative 1 minus 0 over 0 minus a negative 4. Well, two negatives turn into a positive, so this thing is a positive 4. I'll get rid of that. So my slope here is equal to, well, negative 1 over a positive 4. So there's my slope. I can put this right here. Again, let's get rid of this negative sign, or equal sign. Okay, so I've met one part of my objective, but now I need to find my y-intercept. Well, how do we do that? Well, we have our slope, so that can put us back into point slope form. So I would have y is equal to, point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. Now I can use either one of these points. Let's use this point right here, and I know my slope is this, so I'm going to have y minus my y1, which is 0 in this case, is equal to negative 1/4 x minus x1, and x1 is a negative 4, so I'm going to put that negative 4 in parentheses, and let's just simplify this. So I need to distribute the negative 1/4 to both of these things. Y minus 0 is just y. Negative 1/4 times x is negative 1/4 x. And I have a negative 1/4 times a positive 4, which gives me a negative 1. Okay, you guys will have a lot of practice on this. So if you need help, you can contact me through Edmodo.